Hellcat presents An Hour in Hell, Episode 5 with Austin Kenwood.
Hello, everybody. This is Kite Podcast, Episode 5. Is it? Yeah, it is. I'm here with Austin Kenwood. Is that your last name? Did I say that correctly? Austin Kenwood is my 5th guest on the Kite Podcast. I usually have... Well, last podcast I made a line to say. Let me find it. Opening lines. Welcome to Kite Podcast, Episode 5. I am Jackson Rao. We explore new music and we get to know fellow artists. That's kind of, I say we, it's just me.
Yeah.
That's kind of our mission
But we're
goal.
here. I'm here too. So
We're here.
It's we.
It's we. We're exploring each other.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'd say, like probing and
Going in.
very
in
non-sexual.
Though. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Loud and clear.
And I already introduced you, Austin Kenwood. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in music. I know you're in Hot Brothers, which is your.
Yeah.
Can I say that's your main band?
Yeah, that was like my first like big project that I still am like really in love with.
Okay.
So yeah. I just graduated college.
Congrats.
And so thank you. And so now it's been a year, so I guess I
Oh.
should stop saying just.
Yeah.
So I've been here for a year.
I take back my congratulations.
Exactly. But yeah, I was in Hot Brothers was a project that started while I was a student in San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
And so we can only really do shows like once a month and all this stuff. And now I have like moved to LA, like and I've been working with all the people in all these awesome pennyback bands. And so now I'm just like really involved in like a lot of projects.
So your Hot Brothers was your main kind of venture, but
Yeah.
you've since then branched out and just been like, I'm a music guy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be as useful as possible. Super Lunch added a keyboard player, so
You play keys?
yeah, I play keys in
Wow.
Super Lunch now, and like I've been playing keys in like Click Hat for a ton of shows. So I've just been like, yeah, I'm just doing shows. That's what I wanted to do. Like,
Is that your favorite aspect of? Do you think playing with a band is playing live?
yeah, it's so much fun. It's just like doing a live show, especially the more you do it, because the more like you're seeing familiar faces. So it's not just like, look at me, I'm performing. It's like,
Yeah.
look at this like really cool,
Community.
yeah, like this really cool community and seeing faces. And like, it's cool that people are coming out to see your shit and you get to meet other people and like it bleeds into just like, I saw your band, I digged it. And so I'm like so down to do this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
There's just so much media and ways to like have a good time out here in LA.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess just to expand on why I'm doing the podcast is
Mm-hmm.
I explained a little bit to you off air maybe, but it's really just about meeting fucking musicians because I mean, in my little bubble of the valley, it's like there's so many cool people that I've gotten to know over the past 2 or 3 years, and some of them have become my closest friends.
Yeah.
Others are they're just there and they're just supportive, and you want to give back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also you want to reach out and be like, what's beyond my little, facet of life?
Yeah. Like it's fun to bubble up. It's fun to know everyone.
Exactly.
But then it's really fun to reach out and like stick your finger out of the bubble and kinda,
Yeah.
like, figure something else.
And then us
exactly.
as kind of like indie musicians, where we're not like signed to major labels. We're not going on huge tours. It's all, we have this sort of kindredness.
Yeah. It's a very like, we're doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think the people coming to the shows know that we did it ourselves. And just everyone knows like we're doing this. There's not like there's no puppeteers.
No.
you
It's
know?
total transparency.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's your brief little introduction. We'll talk
Awesome.
about you more later because there are definitely some topics I want to pick your brain about.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I want to get into our first sort of section. So as always, we had a couple albums that we listened to throughout the week.
Yeah.
This time it was 2. I gave you an album. You gave me an album.
Yes.
Which I think I liked that because
Yeah, it was really cool.
I don't like I said, I'm still figuring out the format. I don't like to do like 5 albums. Like I don't want it to be just about the albums.
Yeah, that'd be
because the show is not about just the new music. that's from mainstream people. It's about new music from you and
Yeah.
and other various musical topics. So I liked keeping it to 2, and I think this week I had a good week in terms of what I was
Yeah.
listening to.
That's
So
awesome.
well, let's start with the Crudes.
Yeah.
Because that was the album you recommended me.
Yeah, that was the album I
So where
recommended
did you find that? And also, what were your first impressions of just listening to that album?
Well, I've seen the Crudes before. They're crazy. And the thing that's so cool about the Crudes is they play exactly how they sound. Like it's at times it sounds like there's like 3 keys parts or like all stuff, but it's just how they play live. We did a show with them at the Bootleg, and then
Where's that at?
It's in downtown LA, I would say, like
Okay.
on town. It's a cool spot. And also they went on tour with Espresso, which is a band that's very
we played with
near
them a
and-
couple times.
Yeah,
They're fun.
they're fun. Yeah, they're really fun. And so the Crudes it was cool because like we got to be friendly with them right away because we had so many like close friends, and they shred. And that album I just think is so cool because
And by the way, we're talking about, I should have said the album name. It's called Graveled Guts by the Crudes. And it
Yeah,
came
and-
out this year.
I think so. Either this year, last year, but they're touring on it, or they're still.
It's their main thing they're kind of
It's
pushing.
their big thing right now, and it's awesome. You can tell a band really. They have vinyl for it and cassettes. Like you don't really make money off that. You do that because
That's a passion thing.
it's a passion, and people. I wish I had a record player because I have just their cassette, and I cherish that thing. It's so cool,
Mhm.
and no, they're just so awesome. I feel like they have like a lot of inspiration in a genre that's kind of farther back, but they don't just like leave it at that. They're not like some cover band. They're just this awesome like blues rock band that takes like that gives it a very modern
They build
like,
on it.
twist. Yeah, they like I feel shitty even saying like that a blues rock band because there's so much more than that. They're just so like I just really love how modern their album can sound, and then also just how traditional it can sound with their organ player is like
He's ridiculous.
ridiculous, and then their drummer like they switch to like something that's like swung and then something that's like just driving. They're just like good. They're just like pros. It's not that they sat down and wrote a cool song and then like got it together in the
Yeah.
studio, because some bands that's all they can do sometimes, like, or that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like they just go up on stage and they play that like effortlessly, and their lead singer's voice is just so cool, and it definitely, he wears a lot of hats with his voice. Like it's gravelly, but he doesn't do the same. It's just every song.
He has different, like the thing that I could tell is he has a character, of course,
Yeah.
that he's playing, and it sounds really cool and it fits the vibe. But then he has different sort of dynamic levels, He'll
Yeah.
have kind of a low, like brooding voice, and then he can take that into different heights.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate comparing a band to another band.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a very shallow compliment sometimes, and that's why I'm not
Yeah.
even. And it's not that they sound like a band. It's so funny how one song will make me go like, oh, this sounds very Doorsy, and another song, oh, this sounds like the Growlers,
Yeah.
and like then they have one song that's super like Arctic Monkeys, but also I don't want to compare their music.
Well,
to,
the
like,
fact
other-
that you have to, use all these different bands as comparisons, it's like it means they're a different beast.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like going like, oh, if you've heard the Doors, you've heard this band, because that's
No,
not the case.
it's
at
not doing
all.
them justice.
It's such a good album. I have like my car can only play cassettes, so whenever I see a band selling cassettes, I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, because they're cheap and I have music. And this album has just been like on repeat in my car. It's so
Do you have a favorite track or 2 tracks or?
it's funny because with cassettes,
Oh.
you don't even think of them as tracks. You just
Yeah.
have like side 1, side 2. But I love the song. Their last song, obviously, that's I think their most popular one on Spotify.
Is it Graveled Guts? I
Yeah,
think they
Graveled
end it
Guts.
With that.
But then
Yeah.
there's one, and it just has like a sick bass line intro. They're just like, it's so cool. And the thing that was so funny is I've been listening to it on cassette, and then the other day I played it through speaker on Spotify, and it's just like hearing it like as the quality that it could be like its highest quality. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's unreal. I think they're a really great band.
When
And they're all so nice. They're all such homies.
I haven't had the pleasure to meet each of those guys, which is dumb of me because I saw them. They played like a small backyard show, I want to say almost 2 years ago. So this was a while ago, and it was with an old band I was playing in, and I think they played one band before us, and I was able to catch their set, and I was thoroughly fucking blown away.
It's unreal. They're like all good.
I mean, yeah. See, that's the thing I wanted to say about them too is their individual musicianship.
Yeah,
is immaculate, and
So
that's
good.
what makes this band work, and especially in that genre of like kind of blues rock where it's
exactly 'cause
super jammy and really you can tell each musician's just vibing off of each other.
Exactly. Like, and that's why, because when you say blues rock, you're just like, oh, it's just these like people getting stoned
No.
and jamming. But they're also, it's not, and that's the other thing. Sometimes when you see a band, you're like, oh, their drummer's sick. With this band, it's like, oh, they're all like just great.
And they know, and that's a tough balance to strike because they know their place
And
too.
they have a
because
lot of members, yeah.
They do. How many members do they have? You know more about
they
them
have,
than I do.
I know they have a bass. They have bass, keys, drums, a singer, and I think 2 guitars.
That
I'm not
sounds about right.
100%. It could just be 1 guitar, but regardless.
They're like a 6-piece or something. I'm pretty sure
yeah.
they're hovering around that.
It's unreal. They're so great, and every time I see them at a show, they're the nicest. I'm embarrassed that I can't even pinpoint their number. I think it's actually just no. I think it's 2 guitars. I don't know. I don't want to be wrong, so I'm not gonna say.
Well, regardless, it sounds full as fuck on the album.
Yeah,
It has a really sparse. I mean, I was thinking of because I mix and I produce and stuff, so that's kind of my main expertise. So when I listen to an album, I'm thinking of from a mixing point of view, and
Yeah.
to mix all those instruments together is no easy task.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
'Cause, like, there's parts that like, especially when something needs to shine through more, you're like, do I turn this up? Do I turn everything else down? Like, it's
involved, and
It's hard to be subtle.
And their songs, by the way, are averaging 4.5 minutes. I think they like they have a song in here. It's like very early in the album that's 7 minutes
oh yeah.
these aren't little short pop pieces.
No, they're
these are
jams.
sprawling jam sessions, but they have a structure and they have a melody, and so it's not full jam and it's not full structure. They
Yeah.
strike the balance. They do it really well.
They just do it so well, and just like they do a great live show too. They all like because there's solos and just like in the recordings, like they just shred. Like it's just unreal.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the end of this album.
Mhm.
I don't like to do hard reviews of numbers. I started out doing that, and I discovered very quickly that
That's hard.
it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's like, what's your 10? Like, what
Yeah.
are you rating relative to?
Exactly.
So I'm not going to do a rating in that way. Instead, I like to do what's called I always forget the name. Was it buy it, try it, pass? So you can
okay.
give it buy, and you can give it or try. You can give it pass.
Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying.
So go ahead and do your buy it, try it, pass. Which
Okay.
one would you choose?
but before I do that, I just want to make it clear.
Yes.
This band is phenomenal. I feel so shitty for even like saying other bands.
Yeah.
To like give as a point of reference, just because like I don't want that
Well, I mean,
it to come off
okay,
that way.
they should understand, people listening should understand that we're trying to convey the sound of
Yeah.
an album with
Okay.
dialogue. So we're trying to just kind of tell you what kind of to expect,
Okay, yeah.
but it's not to say that you're summing up the album by referencing artists.
Okay, cool. I just want to make that clear because I have so much
Yeah.
respect for these guys, and this album is unreal. I would definitely say buy it. In fact, like I would even say buy their vinyl. Like it's a labor of love for them, and like they're not just like a band that recorded something and then decided to put it on vinyl. They knew this album was like a big deal.
Yeah.
And they really I would buy it.
So from you, that's not even just a buy it. That's a buy it plus. That's buy it twice.
Yeah, that's buy their vinyl. That's like go
Buy their
There's a
t-shirt.
dog at their merch table a lot of times. Like go say hi to them. Go hang out at their merch table. They're dope. They're
Yeah.
really cool.
So that's a hanging out their merch table.
Hang out at the merch table. Buy a few things.
That's the highest honor,
yeah.
in my opinion.
I would say so.
Meet the band.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, buy it. What about you?
I would also say buy it.
Sick.
And so this is coming from total first impression. I'd seen them play live,
Mhm.
right? I mean, seeing a band play live is different from sitting down and listening to their
Yeah,
album because
exactly.
it's like there's no commitment in seeing a band live when you're playing the same show as them. It's kind of like
Yeah.
you're there. I always try and catch people's sets, always.
It's a good idea.
But it's kind of happenstance, and you like it or you don't. You're there,
Yeah.
And so me sitting down to listen was my very fair first commitment, and
Yeah.
I sort of knew what I was getting into, but in the beginning I was like, okay, can I get into this?
Yeah.
And then by the end I was sold.
Exactly. When at first you're just like, I feel like this is gonna be something I've heard before, just because it's like guitar and drums and bass,
Yeah.
and like that's in this day and age, like sometimes it's not enough, and then like vocals come in, keys are blaring, you're just like, this is something cool.
Yeah, and you're just asking, where are they gonna take this?
Yeah.
And they take it to all the right places,
Oh yeah, they go everywhere with it.
So it's a definite buy it from me, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
So Crude's Graveled Guts, that's a buy it. That's a visit the merch table from Austin.
Yeah, that's a go hang out with them.
Go hang out with them.
Yeah, they're sick.
And that's a buy it from me.
Awesome.
And I'm gonna visit the merch table. I want to meet these guys.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I mean, they seem like they've kind of gone up. They've gotten some more publicity.
Yeah, I'm seeing them everywhere, and
which is
it's-
great.
Yeah, really great to hear.
When
and
I-
also, like, I always love checking other bands, like, how are they doing on, like, Spotify and stuff,
Yeah.
and Instagram, and yeah,
They got
they're
like
coming up.
10,000 monthly listeners, which
Yeah,
is
that's unreal.
that's nothing to laugh about.
No. Yeah, and it's a cool album. I love the cover, too.
Yeah,
It's just, like, really pretty.
cool. So buy it.
Buy it.
And we'll move on to our next album and our final album. This was something that I recommended.
Yeah.
So with the recommendations, I don't know how you how long you've known about the Crudes album.
Uh-huh.
How long did you know about that album?
I knew about them, but, like, I didn't sit down and listen to their full album until late May when I did a show with them and bought their cassette and then put it in my car.
Yeah. So this album, which I recommended, I found on Spotify
Cool.
in my release radar. I really
Nice.
like the
Yeah.
algorithms that they recommend you. Like, see, I like when the guest that I have recommends me something because it's out of my sort of algorithmic
Yeah,
fucking system. You know what I mean?
it's something very random.
Because
yeah.
I'm always gonna get something that the robots think I will enjoy.
It's so creepy that now it's getting like that. Like music fatigue times 100.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the robots now not only know what I like, but can shape what I like because they're feeding it to
influencing.
me. Yes, I get what you're saying.
And as musicians, when we're like, I'm always trying to diversify what I'm listening to, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck in a fucking genre loop because it's easy to get stuck in that. And with these algorithms, it's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want to like binge listen to one style of music for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
you can do it, and the algorithm will.
And
like,
the
feed
robots
it.
will let you. They'll
Exactly.
Let you, they'll let you be free.
So I like how I got something that was off color for what I listened to from you. But
Cool.
this album, to segue, it's something that I immediately enjoyed,
Yeah. it
as
was
the
really cool.
robots intended.
The robots love
I need to find the fucking. I keep on forgetting the artist name, but I remember the.
Oh, Courtney Barnett.
Yeah, I remember the album title, which is called Hopefulness. I remembered that because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And then the artist is Courtney Barnett. You're correct. So this came out this year. So I guess I'll just start by saying what I thought.
Yeah.
And I knew immediately by listening to the first song, I was going to enjoy it.
Yeah, that first song
Um,
was a banger.
It's fucking awesome. And so I actually did know about this artist indirectly. Have you heard of Kurt Vile?
Yes, I have.
He's kind of the acoustic dude that does a lot of like sort of soft
yes.
guitar work and stuff.
I do know of Kurt Vile, but I couldn't be like Kurt Vile.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, totally.
But I get exactly what you're saying.
I've listened to like 2 songs by him.
Uh-huh.
But I know of him.
Cool.
And he did a collaboration album with Courtney Barnett.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's called Whole Lot of Sea Lice. And I haven't listened to that, but I saw an interview of them together.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, where have I heard this girl's voice? Because I've heard her somewhere. and because she has a kind of an accent
Yeah.
that you can hear in her music. And so by happenstance, I got recommended Hopelessness. And so the first track is a great start to the album, and it immediately hooked me because it starts out quiet and slow. It's kind of that classic slow build song.
Yeah, and it was so funny because I think it's in 4/4, but it has like that weird like.
It has those accents. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it just sounded. It's like so. It's not a steady rhythm so you're like listening and you're like tense.
Yeah.
When her voice,
It
it's
has
so
that tense,
cool.
and she has such a great voice. I mean, I think I'll try and like box her into a little genre here so you guys can understand. Which I hate doing this too, but
Exactly.
I'm just trying to convey. I would classify her as sort of like alternative, but she's kind of like poppy. She's not like full blown alternative, like not 90s alternative, but like modern alternative.
Yeah, it's got that like
Indie rock.
Always kind. Do you know
Yeah.
that band?
No. Who's that?
There's this band called Always. It's always, but instead of a W, it's two
Oh.
V's. And they have like that song "Marry Me, Archie,"
Okay.
and like, but it's a very like, no matter how intense the music gets, the voice kind of is in that.
Yeah. She
like,
keeps just kind of this very casual tone.
yeah, but then toward the end, it gets pretty. That song where she's like, "I'm not your mother, I'm not your bitch."
That's
like,
the hardest song in the album.
yeah. That when it gets to that, you're like, "Oh wow, this
Yeah.
is cool."
And this has like some sort of a fucking message for me, dude.
Yeah,
and
it's
that
kinda like-
song's only like a minute and a half. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I just remember seeing like a picture and it was like, do you really want a girlfriend or do you just need a therapist to get laid? And that's kind of like what that song kind of seemed like to me. She's like, I'm not your mom. Like get your shit together.
I felt like she was talking to me.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was
You're just like,
"Jeez,
whoa, like,
Courtney.
yeah,
please."
all the fuckboy juices inside of you. You're like, oh, get them out because I know exactly.
Yeah, she has a really cool album here, and it's poppy in the best possible way. Like that has a negative connotation in some circles.
It totally poppy.
And to me, it does
hard.
too. But when I say poppy, I really just mean the melodies because there's straight up catchy fucking hooks in this album.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the songs are a lot more concise than something like the Croods, which is on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah.
Where this feels like a singer-songwriter with a band.
Yeah, totally. Instead of like a band, like yeah, the Croods, they write all their songs together. 100.
You can tell.
But with this, it's like she comes to a band. She comes to a very talented band. Like
yes,
they're sick.
Absolutely. But I get the sense that this is her brainchild.
Totally.
And I mean that's
hence
implied.
The name on,
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of that feel where she writes the songs on guitar with a strong melody and some chords, and then she kind of programs the band or has them make their parts or whatever.
Exactly. And it's kind of cool. And because of that, it's fun because listening to the album, your first listen through is you're listening to her and her singer-songwriter songs.
Yeah.
And then the second time through, you're now kind of like, how did the band embellish? You know, like I remember on my second listen through, I was just kind of hearing like very like trebly like keys parts that were kind of like going past me.
Yeah. And there was a song in here that I fucking stuck in my head. I don't remember what it's called, but on my second listen through, for me, when I listen to something the second time, that's when the catchy songs
stick,
like get ingrained into your head.
Totally.
And there was a song in there that just has this fucking chorus that just makes you just sing.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
I'm gonna try and sing it. It's like na 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 da 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 na da na na na. It's something like that. And it has this like meandering sort of melody that's just like rhythmically cool, and I just really enjoyed it. And it's everything that I like to listen to. I mean, I've mentioned on the podcast before, my favorite artist is Elliott Smith, and he's super depressing, obviously, but he is a great singer-songwriter.
Totally.
His melodies are super good. His chords are super good. And I sense that in her.
Yeah.
And she's just expanded it, you know?
Yeah, she got a band that's like on the same shit that she's on.
Exactly.
Totally. Well, you know what's so funny with Courtney, is it Barnett?
Courtney Barnett,
yeah. With Courtney Barnett, the funny thing with me, and I hate when I'm accidentally in that situation, I was dog sitting a friend. And so I was cold and there was like a jacket on the couch and I just put it on and like wore it to a show, and it was a Courtney Barnett.
No
It's like-
shit.
yeah, so I'm wearing this Courtney Barnett sweater, and it's a nice looking sweater. It's like this gray sweater with like a cute, just black like illustration on it, and everyone. And I was at WOMA, and so all these Valley kids are coming up and going like, "Wow, Courtney Barnett, like that's awesome." And I just had to like. 'Cause
Pretend.
I can't lie. No, I couldn't. I was just
you're
like,
like,
I was just
honestly-
like, no. I dropped my ideas. I was like, forgive me. Like, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because it's like, have you seen that video where someone's playing Nirvana and there's
Yeah.
this like girl like wearing a Nirvana shirt and she's like, "What song is this?
The
Like,
song
it's-
sucks."
The song sucks." Like, and I just felt like that so hardcore. But so when you sent it to me, I was like, that's the universe going like, "Hey, right your wrongs. Listen to this.
This is your
album."
redemption.
Yeah, and like listening to him, like, okay, cool. I wore a cool
Yeah.
hoodie or whatever it was sweater.
I mean, you could have been wearing some artist that actually sucked.
Yeah, could you imagine like
People started laughing like Courtney Barnett.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Really?
Like, oh no, no.
No, but I get the feeling she has a lot of sort of respect. I mean, I respect her.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
Yeah. Totally.
She seems kind of like an underground artist, which is always cool.
Yeah. I think it's so funny how like I never heard of her, but leading like before a few months ago, but then 2 or 3 like reasons really to listen came through. Me wearing the jacket and then you being like, all right.
That is a weird
It
coincidence.
is a pretty crazy coincidence. And that's what's fun about being in the scene is you just hear names a lot. So then finding music, it's like, oh, I've heard this before. Like, oh, this
Yeah,
is
you've heard this before, but you haven't.
yeah,
It's weird how that happens.
exactly. It's
But
tricky.
so we'll move on to buy it, try it, pass. I'll start. It's an easy
Mhm.
buy for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with buy it. I think you got if you're gonna be okay with some like atonal stuff over really poppy music, because that was kind of like if you're cool with that, then like definitely buy it. Like,
Buy it.
yeah, it was really cool,
I mean, I want to get it on vinyl. Like for me, that's the ultimate honor.
right?
Because, I mean, us musicians were aware of the whole, streaming Satan
Mm-hmm.
fucking rituals of she's not gonna see the money from streaming on Spotify.
Yeah,
She gets like a fucking 100th of a penny or whatever.
for 100%.
So when I really like an artist, I'll go out and I'll purchase a physical medium of their music. you
and
know?
that's
And I think for me, this is not just a buy of the album, but a buy of the vinyl.
yeah, that's high praise.
You know?
That's very high praise.
praise.
Because like, yeah, exactly. Like buying the vinyl. Here's the thing: music sales in general isn't where the money is for bands.
No.
I remember reading that like Aerosmith made more money off of Guitar Hero Aerosmith than they did off of like their entire discography.
That's fucking
Like
insane.
so it's like but also having that on vinyl is just like the best way to also like show it to someone else. Like
True.
it's just the best way to like spread the seed,
Spread the seed.
My friend is obsessed with and is a great band, John Mouse, or great guy. Do you know? Have you heard
No,
of John
I've never
Mouse?
heard of that before.
He's like a very cool like synth guy. Like he's a synth dude
Okay.
with vocals, and so he writes these really cool like spacey synth tunes, and then has like lyrics like these. Like he sings like this, and it's sick. And my friend Owen from Super Lunch,
Yeah.
he bought like all their vinyls in like a box set. It comes with like pictures. It comes with like
That's so
sheet
cool.
music, and like I knew of John Mouse, but just seeing how much he loved that whole package, and like he showed it to me, like I was like reading the sheet music along with. It was so cool, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm now a John Mouse fan for life just from seeing that. Like vinyl's also a great way to see how much the band loves its listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because when you get a fucking special edition whatever, and it comes with like fucking hidden lyrics and outcut shit,
yeah, you're
and
just like, ooh,
you're like, I'm on the inside.
I'm in there.
You
I'm in his
know?
head. I'm
Yeah,
more
I'm
in his head
I'm
than
in
anyone
this
else.
guy's fucking head.
Exactly.
But that's so cool as like not even just as a fellow musician, but as a fucking listener. Where when we love bands, we really love bands.
Yeah. And that's why I just love being like in the scene too, because like bands I love, I get to like see them at shows, and, like befriend them and all. And
Isn't
all
it
this stuff.
crazy? Because we take that shit for granted, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the Croods is a great example. I saw them at a one-off random time,
Mhm.
and I liked their live show a lot. I was blown away, but it wasn't enough to make me like sit down and listen to their music.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
It's hard to like to get someone to do that, to actually convert people who've never seen you before.
It's chaos theory. It depends on so many factors. The mood the people watching are in, like
True.
It's so crazy.
And so my point, I guess, is that like we're in this fortunate position where we can see bands that could have a huge impact on our world.
Oh,
It's very possible. I mean, we know a lot of people, and I mean, I'm always thinking, who's gonna be the one that can really carry the torch of this little fucking scene?
The one where later in your life you're at a party and you're like, I did a show with this band. You know, like
you're telling your fucking kids.
You're telling your kids.
I
like,
used to play with them.
I played a show with this band once.
Shut up, Dad.
And it's like, no. It's like they're like, you take us to Buffalo Wild Wings every night. I'm like, yeah. Then I man the jukebox and I play this song. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like my dad he lived in Chicago and he was in the punk scene in the 80s. So
Chicago punk scene.
Yeah. And he's told me about, he played in a band called Billingsgate, and there were so many bands in that scene in particular that just kind of existed only in that fucking era. And then just, my dad got married and fucking, like everyone moved on with their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there were a couple bands, to name a few, Minor Threat, who went on to form Fugazi.
Yeah.
And so he played with Fugazi when they were...
That's unreal.
So it's like those things, but it's like they weren't, at that point, they didn't have a huge name. Like they were big, but they weren't the band.
Yeah.
Because now at that point, looking back, it's like there's tons of fucking Chicago punk bands, but there's only a couple that you can really off your hand.
And it's cool that it's not even like, I knew them when they were big in Chicago. It's like, no, I just knew them when they were in like Chicago. Like before they were big.
Exactly.
The word I sometimes use to describe like like if someone's like, oh, is it a popular band? I'll be like, oh, they're smell famous. And that's just how I kind of like right off the bat, I'm like, they have people that love them, but they're not like you go to a different zip code and maybe no one's heard of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, all these bands that we play with and play in, they're all niche in the sense that's like, if you go and play in buttfuck nowhere, like no one's gonna really come. I mean, you'll have a couple people maybe.
Yeah.
But that's how you separate the general audience from like the super fans who are like, if you fucking play in a different state, I'll drive 10 hours.
Out. Yeah, I remember Luis, my dear homie, he was telling me that he was having a meeting with like some person was like, a band could be like a band full time if they have like a certain number of super fans. Like if you get like 1,000 super fans, that means like any music,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Any merch you sell is gonna get bought, like any shirts, and like it's not to like, man, it just sounds so shitty saying it out loud, like, oh, these fans are our money. But it's like when you have super fans, and like I love being a super fan for bands, like I try to be a super fan for my friends' bands as much as possible and all that stuff. Like if you can get enough people that like love your shit, like you're gonna it's not even about the money as much as it's just like it's worth it, like if you have a certain amount of like really devout fans, like eventually every show you're at least gonna see like someone who like loves, and that's what we need like to keep playing, like.
Yeah, I mean, like for us, I mean, I won't speak for you, but emotionally, to be able to carry on.
Yeah,
I told you earlier, I like to play for bands. Sometimes you go to shows and it's just like, yeah, no one really showed up. What's your name? And I'm just like, yeah, oh, you're this band, cool. Like, you want to hear our set?
Yeah,
that's fun sometimes, but we always want to play big shows, you know. And so, for us to keep on doing that, realistically, you got to have a boon every now and then.
Yeah.
You got to have like, that just was electric, that experience.
Exactly. I feel so shitty for even saying that thing about super fans because I don't mean to be like, I'm counting my fans.
Well, that's, I mean, honestly, it's fucking reality. When you, I mean, I graduated last week from high school, so I'm a quote unquote real person now. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the world.
I don't have responsibilities yet because my parents are coddling me still. And thank you, Mom and Dad. But when I inevitably have to pay for insurance and just be an adult, you have to think about things economically. And so this fan thing that you're telling me about, I've heard before, and it's basically a theoretical concept of
Yeah,
like a super fan is not just a fan. They're the highest tier of devotee to your band. They will
Yeah.
buy everything you create. They'll come to every show, and everyone is a super fan for at least one band.
yeah.
Like you see them on a list, it can be across the country, and you're like tempted to buy fucking plane tickets
Yeah,
to go see that
exactly.
band.
And that's what I'm saying. And it's so cool. Like, I guess like I don't know. I mean, I've heard the word super fan. I don't know exactly what the definition is, and like what they like look like in like or anything like that. But it's just really cool to know that like hopefully my music will get to a place where people will be down to like make the trip out to see a show. You know?
Yeah.
Because right now we're in a scene where it's like, but even just in LA, I'm like, I'm stoked that even though you live in LA, you chose to come see my show on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because on a Saturday night, there's 50 bajillion other things going on. So any person I see in the audience at like a show of mine, I'm like, this person means the world to me. This
Yeah.
person is like I got out of bed for this person. Like I didn't know it maybe this morning, but like coincidentally, I am right now like living for this person, and it doesn't feel like I'm like, here I go, like I'm a dancing monkey. I'm like,
No.
oh, like I'm yay,
It's
like
such the opposite.
it's amazing.
I hope no one ever thinks that.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, there are artists there that become really fucking jaded to live performance.
yeah,
And they basically, I mean, this happens usually when you get big, when you like make it or whatever, and it's like another show.
yeah,
Of,
like how many people, are
people
gonna
that
be
just
there?
are these guys are like subverting my fucking
Yeah.
this isn't the real me, like all that bullshit.
I'm not there
all that
yet.
like
yeah.
not to shit on Kurt Cobain, but that kind of like
Yeah.
mentality. You know what I mean?
The like, you guys don't know what I'm about.
Yeah.
When it's
How
like-
dare you? It's almost like how dare you presume
Yeah,
like trying to find meaning in my lyrics. You fucking
like
asshole.
I don't get that.
It
Like,
comes off as super pretentious, but I mean, power fucking corrupts, right?
yeah, exactly. I can say I can sit on the highest of horses, a horse with 20 feet tall legs, like, but I won't know until I'm there. But hopefully, like, I just love the people I meet, people I see at shows. Like, it's so worth it still, and so I'm still here.
Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit about this is funny. I had a friend or have a friend and I don't know how he heard this, but he said that you're a real music theory nerd and
Oh.
that you have taught people at Pennyback about music theory, like
Yeah.
literally taken out a fucking chalkboard and drawn shit. What's the story behind that?
Well, the story behind that, I guess, is just like, I studied music at Cal Poly, and it was dope. It was really fun because I don't think I could have done it like on my own. Like it's it's like learning a new language, and it
Very much.
it was cool because like I think a lot of people, especially in the scene, have made it so far without learning music theory, and will ride that horse. I keep bringing up horses, but they'll stay in
It's
that
a great
mindset.
analogy
Like,
tool.
I made it this far without learning music theory. I'm fine. And like, yeah, power to you if that's the case. But it has nothing to do with you and how you write music. I just want everyone that I interact with to know as much music theory as possible because it makes our connection. It makes me talking to you is going to be easier, and it's less abstract concepts. So I was talking about it, and my friends Sarah and Luis and Ryden were all super gung ho on it, and so yeah, for a few weeks, I would just like go to Ryden's house and like I think the most was like 10 people one time, and just like teaching very simple, just enough that like it's like, oh, okay, I now understand like what a difference between a major and a minor chord is, other than how it feels.
Yeah.
And like I think I just think it was really cool stuff. Just the fact that like you could be like, oh, I need you to go up a half step. Like just small stuff. Like it's so like people go like music is the universal language, and like not literally. I couldn't go to someone who doesn't speak my
English.
language. I couldn't play them a song and they could tell me where the bathroom is. Like
No.
no, but there is a lot of like language in the theory of it, and also it's just a cool way. You can only write songs by feel for so long. There are times where I'm like, I'm gonna try like this, like I'm thinking of the math before hearing it. Sometimes,
And
It's just-
sometimes I fucking feel the same way for long periods of time.
yeah,
And so what I like, if I'm trying to make something that's different in some way, but I feel the same, it's hard to get out of that.
yeah, exactly. It's hard to like why do all my songs kind of sound the same? If you don't know music theory, then you don't know.
Yeah.
But if you like or maybe you'll know, but like for me there was just a time where like I sat down and like kind of like wrote out all the music I've been writing. I'm like, oh, all my songs are in E major, like
Yeah.
without fail.
Yeah.
And like once I kind of realized that, I was like, okay, how do I do this? And like it's just like music, and I'm not like the best. I don't like know too. I have very surface level music theory undergrad knowledge. But like it's really helpful for me, at least, like just to know like what rules there are, because there are rules, and there are rules that we've followed for hundreds of years, and like even though we don't all listen to classical music, our music is still built on thirds.
Yes.
We still like the way, and you people that don't know music theory don't know this, but it's just true. You can
They've been
hear,
doing it whether they like
yeah,
whether they know or
you
not.
can hear a key change when you play a dominant chord, and all this stuff, and like I think if people, it's just cheat codes. It's just like if your brain's like, how do I get this feeling? Chances
Cheat
are,
code.
yeah, there's a cheat
I
code.
fucking
for
love
it.
that. I mean, the thing that I'm obsessed with, and I have a very, I mean, you say surface level, I have a fucking surface level. So I basically, I can make several different chords on a piano. Like I know about intervals, and I can craft some, diminished chords and seventh chords,
Exactly,
major,
and it's
minor,
like
seventh.
it just opens doors. Like,
I mean,
for-
that's great, right? And I don't play keyboard or piano, but what I'm really interested in, that I'm getting to slowly but surely, is modes, and like
Yeah.
you said, the feelings of the modes, and I mean, film score people use that shit
like crazy.
all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, because for like people in the film industry that don't know music, and they're just talking to the score guy like, hey, we need some sort of suspenseful kind of brooding sound. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what mode to call upon to create this.
Totally. Like,
And it's guaranteed to create that sort of feeling.
it'll work. Yeah. I did improv in college. That is my least favorite sentence sometimes to say, because how many times have you heard someone go like, I did improv in college, and then just the worst story follows. But for me, one thing I want, there's musical improv, and so one show, or for a few shows, I like wanted to not perform, but I want to do the music. And so and it was like really fun to do. Like, if you can tell, like, this song has to be like a sad, suspenseful song. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. Like, and if you know music theory, you can even cheat it too. Like, oh, I need to do like a minor song. Oh, A minor, all the white keys. I know that because so it's like music. Some people think music theory makes it hard for you, but sometimes music theory gives you like all the shortcuts. Like,
Yeah.
cheat codes, shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fun. The film score shit, the ability to evoke an emotion with music, and sometimes you could even, like, in theory, like, compose it without hearing it.
That's
like,
fucking insane.
if you
to
really
think
know
about.
the rules, like, it's crazy.
And I mean, the fuck, I lost my train of thought. What were you just saying? Repeat what you just said.
Oh, I was saying, like, emotions being able to be evoked.
Okay, yeah. That's like the main purpose of music in
Yeah.
many fucking, I mean, a lot of people think of music as an introspective experience, and it very much is, because you're, searching through yourself. But the reality of it is, what makes good music is that it invokes an emotion, in the listener.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
If you're
like,
listening to something and you don't feel shit while you're listening to it, you can't relate to it. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no substance.
yeah, it's-
Emotional substance.
You need to like find some reason to connect with the music, and sometimes it's the listener's job. Sometimes the listener has to like do some grunt work to like music, and
It's
and,
true.
like, it's fun. Like,
I mean, there's music that's less accessible, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you have to. I feel like that's what musicians excel in. We can really give something more than just a first chance.
Yeah.
Because we're prepared to kind of go all the way with a lot of music. And that's why I find when you talk to musicians, they tend to like more avant-garde stuff
Yeah.
because they're not satisfied with the top 10 hits that are circulating
Yeah, and,
endlessly on the radio.
Some people need that. Some people like, oh, there's times a top 10 hit like gets me going, and you need that emotion, but like it can't always all feel good. It's like I don't like watching only happy shit.
Yeah.
You want to watch like those spooky shows, like you gotta listen to some spooky shit. Like you could like music, you got to find a way to like it in a lot of senses. Like maybe just sitting down and listening to jazz is going to be hard to someone who's never listened to jazz. But if you were like, oh, listen to this Thelonious Monk album and know that he struggled with like schizophrenia all of his life, and like he was such an interesting person, like do a little reading on who he was, then listen to the album, and it's like 10 times more fun to listen to.
Oh my
Suddenly,
God.
all this weird stuff you hear, it's not like, oh, this isn't jazz, I don't get it. You're like, oh, I think I do get it because I know this guy's story. Like,
That's amazing. Well, because that's what kind of humanizes music.
Yeah.
And it all brings it back to that emotional connection. If you can connect with who's creating this art for you,
yeah,
it immediately becomes more relatable.
totally. Like, if I'm really trying to get someone to dig an album I'm about to show them, I give them like, just like I'm at a restaurant about to give you wine, being like, this is gonna pair well with. I'm like that with an album. Like, this album was based off of a children's book that the person
Yeah.
wrote, and I think that was something I learned a lot in school. I was like, classical music sucks until you do the studying that comes with it. And you got to remember that during those times, that's what everyone else was doing. No one was just listening to classical music. They were like reading the newspaper. They were fully enveloped in it. And I think that so many people just want that. They don't want to. They just want to hear a cool song.
Yeah.
But like, it's much more fun if you can like learn like paint yourself into the painting.
Yeah.
And then listen.
I mean,
to it.
that
Like,
surface level stuff is okay because,
yeah, and that's fine.
I myself can listen to just well-crafted songs that
Yeah.
they may not have a lot of emotional substance, but they're just well-crafted. But then the best song, and I think we'll both agree, is one that has both emotional substance and is expertly crafted.
Yeah.
And they combine it in a beautiful sort of, meld. That's
Yeah.
what makes like perfect music.
Yeah,
And
100%.
it varies from person to person because that emotional aspect is different for each person. I might connect to something that you don't identify with, and
Yeah.
that's going to create different opinions.
Yeah,
That's
and
kind of the beauty of it.
and it creates like just different like genres all of a sudden.
Yeah, different genres. There
and
you
then
go.
we're just having a good time finding our favorite
Different
shit.
approaches to the sort of fundamental question. This is a great segue into your band.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to talk about Hot Brothers. I mean, you can tell me
Yeah,
about
for sure.
really all of your musical experiences,
for
but
sure.
I'll talk about Hot Brothers because I've seen you guys play and
Uh-huh.
I've listened to your songs, so I kind of feel like I at least have a frame of reference. What is your main approach to songwriting, and also who in the band? Is it a group effort or is it one or two people?
That's a great question because like with Hot Brothers, it's a very fun
Yeah.
process. Luis and I met when I was in like high school and he was in middle school,
Mhm.
and we had this dinky little band called Fridge Mice. And like then just like a almost like Black Keys type shit, like blues rock.
Fridge Mice, I love that.
Yeah, Fridge Mice. And it was because like one day like Luis was at my house and this mouse ran under the fridge, and I thought I could like kill it by shooting it with BB guns, but all it was doing was like screaming. It was dramatic. And so we
That
named our
sounds
band
horrible.
Fridge Mice. Yeah, it was awful. But then I went off to college for like a year, and when I came back, we like, let's start a new band.
Yeah.
And after we started that new band, pretty much right away, Evan joined, who is our bassist, who is phenomenal. And
Uh-huh.
the process pretty much is whoever's holding the guitar and singing that song brought the song to the band in essence. So it's like I'd be like, oh, I have a song on guitar, and Luis and Evan will compose a bass and drum part to it. So yeah, it's the guitarist starts the tune, and usually it's like we do the guitar. The lyrics come last. It's just like kind of like a jam, and a lot of times it's just like one riff, and then so it'll be like I have a part, and then after we kind of come up with that, it's like, all right, now we're all gonna write like the chorus together.
Totally.
And then lately, what we've been trying to do is, early in Hot Brothers' life, we were only meeting once a month, so all of our songs we had to keep as like verse chorus as possible. Now that we can meet more, we also go like, okay, that'll be cool. Now let's make it mathy by cutting the last count off. So instead of 8, it's in 7 or something like that.
Mhm.
And like, and that's what's really fun is now a lot of Hot Brothers practices are us like challenging each other and like almost getting like pissed. Like there was this thing we wrote and it was like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, and it like all of us were like but once we finally got it, it was really cool because we really want to like, that's like the like theory kind of part of it. I'm like, all right, this song's in like 4/8. Let's make it, or 4/4. Let's make it like fancy.
Yeah.
You know, and Luis is always so down because he's such a good drummer. So usually I'll throw like wild stuff like that I couldn't do on drums, but Luis can. So I'll be like, oh, for this guitar part, let's make it mathy as hell, and Luis will. So yeah, it's very like spontaneously composed, but the guitarist brings it to the table.
Yeah.
in
I mean,
essence.
that's very similar to when I played in Sad Park. It was like,
Oh, cool.
it was someone brings in a part of an idea usually.
Mhm.
Like it's seldom like a whole song.
Yeah, like
It's
no
usually
verse,
like
chorus.
it's usually like a couple parts, and you can see the song like where it wants to go, and from there everyone just kind of okay, yeah, we kind of just fulfill the destiny of
It's
that.
it's kind of
piece.
hard if you were like, all right, this is the verse, this is the chorus, and this is the bridge. Then the band's like, okay, and we're your studio band. But
yeah,
like,
and like where do we come in? You know, like where's our kind of piece in this besides playing our instruments?
yeah, and it's just really cool because with Hot Brothers, and I'm sure with all bands, it's not really whoever wrote it. It's like, all right, drums, I need a boom boom cock cock boom boom cock. It's pretty much like I'll play something and I'll look up and I'll be like, yo, that's sick. Yes, that, and like it's great.
Well, I mean that's the collaborative aspect.
Yeah.
Like it's like I do Kite is besides the podcast, I do my music where it's just me and I play all the instruments.
Nice.
So it's like I have full control over everything, and it's great. And I would always feel bad if I were to start a full band. I've tried it. If I
Yeah.
were to start a band, I don't want to be that guy that's like, play me that exact part.
Here's what I need. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's hard, but also it's necessary. And like, if you're working with if you're working with good musicians, it's respectful to be like, I know you can do this. Like, I need this of you. Like,
Yeah.
you're pro.
Yeah.
And because that's the thing, Lucky Wife and Mother is like my solo music
Mhm.
shit. And like, yeah, it's less stressful, emotionally and socially. Like, I'm like, okay, I get to decide. I'm not going to make anyone do anything they don't want to do. But then it's because of that, like, everything can go wrong. You're just thinking of like, oh, is this too loud? Oh, the bass sucks. Oh, the drums suck. When usually when someone else is doing drums and bass, you're like, oh, I like it. It's fine. Like,
Yeah, and I mean sometimes those conventional barriers of like, you're dealing with a person here that has
Uh-huh.
feelings, and you can't just be like, hey, fucking robot, play this. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
You can't just order people around like you're a dictator. Whereas
Yeah.
when you do have full control over everything, it's almost weird because it's like, I don't have to console with anyone. I can just be
exactly.
like, I'm going to do this fucking part for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes those people that are like, no, I don't want to play that. Like, I have this other part that's cooler
Yeah.
in their opinion. It's like, that keeps you from making a clusterfuck of a song
Yeah.
that might have actually just fallen flat.
Yeah, I encourage any person in a band to also make music entirely by themselves, just because it's just cool. I think a lot of people in a lot of scenes, like not just in music scenes, a lot of people are just like, that's not my thing. I don't do that. Like, oh, I have a friend who makes flyers, but like, I don't know. You know, it's just like, try it. Like, just try making a flyer for your show. Like, if you're trying to get something done like that day, like,
Yeah.
it'll help. And I think a lot of people are kind of like that with music. Oh, I'm just a drummer. Like, I own a keyboard, but I'm not a piano player. I
Don't
think,
limit
you know.
yourself.
Yeah, like, especially if you're recording music by yourself, you get as many takes. No one's gonna see your mistakes. Like, just let them just get it, you know?
Just do it. I mean, it's the ultimate exercise, I think, as a musician. It's the ultimate challenge because you really have to kind of not only do you have to handle a lot of different aspects,
Mhm.
but I mean, you can play whatever you want. It could be totally stripped down. It could just be your voice and a guitar or
Yeah.
whatever your main instrument is.
Exactly. It's always a little strange because it's like, and also the next step is like, how well do you edit yourself?
Mhm.
Like, you could be that person who releases a song every week and it's very rough, and maybe you're only averaging like 2 listens, but like if that's how you're getting your practice in like composition, then like power to you. And then there are other people that, like, once a year will release like a song, but you can tell like the labor of love.
I've thought about this so much. I mean, where do you fall on that of the idea of, I don't want to say quantity over quality because that's not necessarily what it is, but constantly be producing things, just it's fucking spur of the moment. And sometimes it's rough.
Yeah.
Other times it's like a little gem, right?
Yeah.
Or those people that are completely opposite. They're meticulous. They will not release anything that they're on the fence about
Until they know.
because they
Yeah.
don't want anyone to interpret what they're creating as, bad, quote unquote,
Uh-huh.
or whatever. Where do you fall on that?
It's a hard line to cross. It's funny because most of the time if something was like, either I'll record something and I'll release it, but it's not until like 2 weeks later that my brain can actually admit to myself, yeah, that was sick, or oh, that was a little rushed. But I always keep it up because I put it up. But yeah, I think for me personally, I'm getting more and more detailed. And the reason why, just a lot of times, is like, I like to, like, every once in a while, like, listen to my own music. Like, if you're putting up music and not listening to it, then like you're not letting yourself analyze yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part, I think. The recording is great, you're getting your juices flowing, but then you need to be able to like listen to your song and try listening to it at least once a week. Because if you're not liking it, like, if
There's something wrong.
then yeah, there's something wrong. And it's not like it's a bad song. It's just like there are things you're not admitting to yourself in your own artistic process if you can't
Yeah.
really like face your own
And
music.
and I'm of the sort of mindset that's like if you don't like what you're making, why are you making it?
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe like, yeah, if people that don't listen to them, it's like, are you more in love with the process? But like, you gotta love acting. You gotta you gotta stand
Yeah.
in the museum.
I mean, that's
And look
an
at your painting.
interesting point. Like to just fall in love with the process because that is a hard thing for me to do sometimes. I when I'm not trying to get lost in recording and writing, it happens.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when I'm trying to get lost in it, I can't seem to do it.
It's so hard. Yeah, I'll like, oh, I'm not doing anything Tuesday. I'm gonna write a song. 30 minutes in,
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
fuck this.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's like nothing. And
Well, because
then-
songs they come spontaneously,
Yeah, it's
They
hard.
really
It's-
just like I mean, what I try and do is I try and set up the best possible environment for a song to come,
True.
So I'll sit there with my guitar and I'll just be like, I'm just playing right now, and not trying to force something necessarily.
Uh-huh.
Something I did the other day that was kind of interesting was like, I was thinking a lot about how what I said before about the emotional, connotations of a song and how
Yeah.
a good song has an emotional grounding to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have any ideas in particular, and I wanted to write a song.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped, I closed my eyes, and I thought very hard on an emotion that I've been feeling lately.
Uh-huh.
Not just like a broad strokes like anger, sadness,
But just,
whatever.
like, even an
Like-
event.
Like an
even.
event or feeling.
Uh-huh.
And it could be abstract. I don't remember what exactly I wrote it, what that emotion was, but I just kind of like meditated on that for a couple minutes and
Uh-huh.
just like let it stir in my mind. And I felt like I was emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just started playing and these words just started coming out. And
Yeah.
it felt good. Like not even like regardless of whether the song was good, it felt good. And I found that was way more efficient than trying to force out
Yeah.
this sort of technical piece.
Because that's why we're making music to feel good. You make something that felt good, and then now just make it sound good.
Yeah.
Like I get exactly what you're saying.
And it was raw, and I wasn't thinking of, okay, well, how do I start? The verse? Do I have
Yeah,
an
like-
intro? Do I do a double verse? It wasn't technical. It was just musical.
It was like having a really good conversation when you're writing a song.
Yeah.
When you're on like, if it's like a first date kind of thing, you're saying your sentence while thinking of your next sentence, like, but when you're like in it, I get exactly what you mean. For me, when I'm like, I can't write anything, it's probably because I'm just not practicing too much. And I think for me, a lot of times, great stuff comes when I'm practicing.
You mean practicing your musician, your
Yeah, just
instruments?
Yeah, like just trying to get like better at your instrument. Like not just running your songs, but like I'm gonna try playing a scale faster than and a lot of times because it's a pretty sometimes practicing turns into kind of like an idle, kind of like neutral. Suddenly you kind of black out and then black in and you're like playing a riff, or something like that. It's just kind of like getting in touch with like your instrument and like
Falling in love with your instrument. That's a good point because the instrument is what makes us. That's our medium into creating music. I mean, I started with drums, and that's probably the least. It's hard to write a song with drums.
Yeah, just like drums kind of always for me are like the last part.
And I've tried to do it before because I had this thought of like I'm always coming up with like theories on like songs, and I don't mean music theory. I mean just like what makes a song good? How do people get into the environment of writing a hit song? Like what are all the pieces and variables? And I thought of like, what if you wrote songs starting with different instruments? Because I always reach for my guitar when I write a song, right? Totally. And I usually will get similar results because I'll make a similar structure and I'll always write a melody or whatever. But what if I started a song on bass? I'm not very comfortable on bass. What if I start a song on keyboard or drums? And I've tried to do that and it produces a totally different result because you basically fucking approach the process backwards.
Yeah.
And you're like, your head is trying to gauge like, okay, what do I do? And it produces all sorts of weird shit. And sometimes that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're just trying to just shake things up. It's like when you're doing those games with like you're trying to find as many words as you can and you can like, hit the scramble button.
Yeah.
It's exactly
because
like
we
that.
fall into patterns,
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, how do I break out of this funk of always doing the same thing and making the same thing?
Yeah.
How do I break the cycle?
Exactly. And sometimes
just throw a fucking curveball in there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like practice guitar in a different room. It's just the tiniest stuff sometimes. Like it's the songwriting process. I'm trying to read books on it to be like, is it possible to write books on it? And like some books are just like, saying things you already heard. Like it's a thing. It's a process. You gotta.
It's like, what does that mean?
And it's like, okay, I get it. Like everyone writes songs differently. So that's sometimes like I'll write a song and when it comes to the lyrics, I never write the second verse. And I usually like always make up the lyrics to the second verse, even if it's a live show, just because like by this time I know the song, I know what it's about, and then eventually that second verse becomes cemented. But when it's a brand new song, I have the verse, the chorus, and the second verse comes, and I'll be like, yeah.
I mean, I'll always have like a line that I'm like, sometimes I'll come up with a line,
just one line,
and I'm like, that needs to be in a song.
That's the line.
That's the line.
This is the song, dude.
Yeah, this is the song. So I'll of course start the song with that fucking line, and then when you start repeating sections, you're like, I don't want to just repeat that line.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, a lot of times I'll end up with like a great first verse. God, the lyrics.
Yeah, and
it's so well designed. And then the second verse, and you're like, fuck, I guess I'll just make shit up.
Yeah,
at this point.
Exactly. That's like, it's so funny because like it's all very different. But a lot of times when I talk about the process with other songwriters, so many things are like exactly the same. Like we're all pretending we know more than we do, or we're as in like sometimes it's for me at least. The song, after a while, you don't remember how it was written. Like, it's just like, oh, this song, like, didn't exist.
And now it does.
Yeah.
It just manifested itself somehow.
Yeah. For me, a fun way for me writing songs, when I was in school, I was, like, experimenting with new medications and stuff. And I was getting, like, Vyvanse.
Yeah.
And I would just be, like, on Vyvanse, like, feeling weird as fuck. Like I just chugged like 8 coffees because if I have an empty stomach, like that's what happens. And I would just be in like the practice room with like a piano, and I don't play piano, like being high on Vyvanse, like plinking out shit. And I just remember that was just one of the funnest ways I would write songs. Like, and then like, or I'd have my guitar as well. And so I just the other day I was going through, I just have all these recordings on my phone of just me like in this echoey room that I know is a practice room. Like,
Yeah.
just like fucking around. So many stuff, like it just falls through the cracks, but if you love it, it's gonna like, it will rise up. It will become something.
It's so awesome to hear. I mean, that's why I started doing this, is like to hear different people's views on songwriting, and because it's
Yeah.
such a profound subject. There's
Yeah.
so many different facets of it, and it's like part of me was playing devil's advocate, and I was like, well, how long can you possibly talk about the same things? And I'm like
Yeah.
realizing more and more that you're gonna get a different fucking answer each time.
Yeah.
And I have.
That's cool.
So I mean, we're approaching the end of our time here, but
Awesome.
I always ask the guest one last question. Well, there's two questions, but I'll start with the first one.
Okay.
And that is, what is your desert island band? If you can have one band,
Ooh.
you got to,
That I gotta have with me
yeah.
and like doing live shows. That's heavy. That's a heavy one.
Well, no, I
Um,
mean for listening purposes.
Oh, okay. I get to bring like one with me. I was re-listening to it again, and that Moses Campbell has this album.
I don't know who that is.
They're like they're from the scene. I don't know. They just started. A lot of the members from that band started a new band. But I was just thinking, in high school there were two albums. It was Moses Campbell, Expectations, and Fiddlar's album. And those
Which
two
one?
albums, the first one that
Oh,
just
that's
has
just Fiddler?
Fiddler written all over
Wow,
it.
really?
Those two albums were like, I had a six CD card changer thing.
Yeah.
And 1 and 6, and those two couldn't move. I would change 2 through 4, but Fiddler and Moses Campbell were my two.
You're picking two.
I know I'm cheating, so I'm just gonna say though. But band wise, Modest Mouse, because their discography is.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like that.
I haven't listened to their new album at all, but I love their old stuff. So,
I,
as pretentious as that sounds,
No, I think a lot of people are in that boat, honestly. I mean, I haven't delved into Modest Mouse, but I got really into Built to Spill a little while. Do you know what Built to Spill is?
yes.
So
My friends have been in love with Built to Spill.
I mean, like, that's one of my favorite bands, and I found out there's like a feud between Modest Mouse fans and Built to Spill fans.
really?
Did you know about that?
No, I have no idea.
Like, you'll go into like the YouTube comment sections, and people are like, Modest Mouse did it better, and then other people are like, well, Built to Spill was before Modest Mouse. They're like, no, he wasn't
no.
actually. He was black. So I'm like, Jesus.
yeah. Well, it's so funny. Early Modest Mouse is very Elliott Smithy in a way. Like, I was watching a documentary about one of their, and Elliott Smith is talking about it because
Yeah.
he played I think he was very involved in the process.
Oh, of songwriting
Yeah,
and stuff? Recording? What do you mean?
I think recording. I don't know if it was they were
He
friends.
was.
They're from the same scene.
Oh, with
same
the
area.
Modest Mouse guy?
Yeah. Lonesome Crowd West is the album that's just like
Where are they
Nice.
from? Is that Portland or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Washington or like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's fucking awesome. So wait, so your answer is Modest Mouse?
Yeah, that's what
That's a great answer. I
Yeah,
had a
you know.
couple of people say Beatles. Like, that's the first, like,
Led Zeppelin.
yeah.
he's
no
my
one,
favorite.
No one said Led Zeppelin. I'm sure I'll get that though.
But I could totally get saying the Beatles. You're on a desert island. You need content, as much
Right?
content.
You
so-
need you need the best band in your
Yeah,
opinion,
they're great.
and a lot of people just go for the Beatles.
Also, that way, if someone else showed up on the island, chances are they'd also be down with.
no one else is gonna show up though.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's just you.
Then yeah, give me
Forever.
Modest Mouse for
Yeah.
sure.
Cool. Okay, so and the final question is, would you like to embark on the gauntlet?
I would love to.
Let me
Yes.
briefly explain the gauntlet. So, I've given it a new name. The past couple people I've had on the podcast, I did do the gauntlet with, but I haven't released their songs yet.
Okay.
So I think that I'll release them all in a compilation. But anyway, this is how it
Nice.
works. So, my friend Austin here is going to be set with a task. He's allowed to use any of the instruments in the podcast room. We have guitars, we have basses, we have synthesizers,
Sick.
we have a drum set. We've got everything you need. And he has to write and record an original song in 45 minutes. So I'll actually set a timer for 45 minutes. And he can collaborate with me. I think that's generally what it's like. It's
Yeah.
like we collaborate together, we come up with ideas. But if he's super gung-ho about something, he can fucking just do it and
Nice.
bang it out. And so the gauntlet is optional. I feel like some people could get intimidated. That's why I'm making it
Yeah,
optional.
so-
Like, they're like, I don't know if I
Whoa.
want to do that. and that's fine. You don't have to. But
Yeah,
you,
it's like interviewing a rapper and making them freestyle.
it's
Whoa,
exactly
whoa,
what it
whoa,
is.
whoa.
Yeah, like you spit some bars for me. They're like, I gotta
whoa.
be like in the right mindset, you know.
Yeah,
But so that's the gauntlet, and I'll have that. Like I said, in a compilation, and so this one will be under episode 5, Austin Kenwood.
Awesome.
Gauntlet challenge.
Awesome.
And it's just for fun. You can make shitty music, you can make good music, serious, funny.
for sure.
Doesn't matter.
I just have to pee. I'm gonna pee real
Yeah,
quick,
go ahead
and
and
then
pee.
I'm ready.
So that'll be the gauntlet. Thanks for watching Hellkite episode 5. Thanks for being here, Austin.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Okay. Bye.